Okay, so moving on to the Qualistar Class A or Qualistar 2, please could you tell us what makes this a Class A instrument?
Yeah, so Class A is a really, really important thing to fully understand. And this is the fact that this device has actually been externally certified. So it's been certified by an independent laboratory to IEC 61000-4-30 standard, which basically means that all the way this calculates all of its information has been externally checked and proven. So it's not like with the normal Qualistar Plus range. These are certified by Chauvin Arnoux. So we actually publish, if you look at the manuals, there's a massive list in the back of all the equations that's used to calculate all of the parameters. That's great until you start comparing with other manufacturers who maybe do things in a different way. And you think, well, how many different ways can you measure something like power? But this comes down to like, how do you round up values? Do we round it up and someone else rounds it down or something like that? Whereas with the Class A standard, that is all specifically to the standard. And it's every little bit of it is externally certified. So you know if you're using a Class A device, you can compare that to any other Class A device in the world, and they should be measuring exactly the same. Obviously within the accuracy limits of the instrument, but they should be, the methodology used for measurement should be exactly the same.
So you'll get repeatable, comparable results.
Exactly, and quite often our customers may be using 3 or 4 of these things to do one logging job, and they may be at different parts of the building. So one part of the Class A standard actually requires an accurate timing standard. So built into the A8345, we've actually got a GPS unit, which provides a really accurate timing signal. So if an event happens on this device here, we can actually look at exactly the same time as a different remote device and compare those readings to see if that event was actually seen elsewhere, or whether it actually happened at a different time. So it's really important for synchronization between devices, and that's where Class A really steps up.
Does that make it easier to sort of trace cause and effect throughout circuits?
It certainly does, particularly if you're using multiple devices. So using multiple devices together, or even if you were using sort of different types of device or different manufacturers of devices, comparing those, particularly if you were trying to challenge, say, a reading taken by maybe a distribution network operator, and you wanted to provide evidence of your readings, they would probably expect you to have a Class A device. And what we're seeing now is that the needs for customers are often contracts. If you're doing power quality surveys, we quite often see that they are specifying the use of a Class A device now. So very much Class A is now becoming the new standard within the industry. And this is why we've now added a Class A device to our range.
So bearing all that in mind, what's the benefit to the end user then of having a Class A power quality analyzer?
Again, it's almost a bit like quality. It's fitness for purpose. So in a majority of things, if you were just fault finding, you're looking for events within the installation, things like that, a non-Class A device is perfectly adequate for that. You know, it will provide those things. The actual added degree of certainty that you get from a Class A device really comes into when you're comparing to other measurements, or when you want to know that that is 100% to a particular standard, usually for evidentiary reasons where you want to, take that to a distribution network operator or a third party and say, we've taken these readings, we know they're 100% bang on because we used a Class A device to do that.
So tell us about the Qualistar Class A Power Quality Analyzer. What can it be used for? What are its key features, advantages?
So generally all the things we talked about with the A336, you can do with the A345. So it has better performance in terms of its transient detection and things like that. So it does add a big upgrade over the capabilities of the existing platform in many areas. I won't go into those specifically now. It's also got more in the way of energy. So we've got this new watt hour mode in there. So there's a lot more sort of energy in there. You can even with the A345 actually put in a unit cost for electricity, and it will give you the sort of pounds, shillings and pence, for want of a better term, of what you're actually using. So it has got a few more energy features in there. From a harmonics point of view, it actually goes up to the 63rd harmonic. So this only goes to the 50th harmonic. It's actually going up to the 63rd harmonic.
And why is that significant?
So generally what you'll see now with power quality standards is that harmonics are becoming more and more important. And with a lot of particularly motor drives and things like that, harmonics at higher frequencies are becoming more prevalent, and people are actually looking more for higher frequency harmonics than they were probably in the past. That's been driven by a lot of sort of new designs of motor drives and things like this, where we want to see, so that the higher the frequency, generally, the more information it will give you, and also the ability to look at interharmonics as well. So that's the frequencies between the frequencies, and actually really get into those. So yeah, so the 8345 actually adds more in that regard. But where it really stands over the top of the existing Qualistar range is in terms of connectivity.
Okay.
So we've actually got Wi-Fi on this, we've got network capabilities, we've got the ability to dial into it remotely, and it will actually do screen mirroring to any device that's connected to the same network. So if you've got an Android device, an iOS device, you can literally mirror the screen off that onto the phone in your hand and drive the device from any browser-based system.
Does that mean you could leave it in place and then go and do another job somewhere else?
Yeah, so you could leave it in place and come back and check it. You could be wandering at other points around the factory, so you can actually effectively use it. But also from a safety point of view, this might be connected up in a system that you've got to isolate, you've got to de-energize, and you don't want to have to do that every time you go into work. Yeah. So you can actually stand at a safe distance and actually monitor the device and drive the device from a safe distance using something like screen mirroring or remote access actually into the device. So that's where we see the new generation of Qualistars coming in, is actually it's the connectivity, it's the sort of the ability to remote into these devices and actually control them remotely that really starting to make the difference now.
Yeah, it improves safety and job efficiency, doesn't it?
Exactly, from that side of things, and it just gives you that ability. You don't have to be physically here pressing the buttons on the thing to actually operate it. You know, you can be sat at your desk in the office, maybe monitoring 3, 4, 5 of these devices on site and seeing what's going on, checking the alarms, checking the alerts, and then return back to them after a period of time. So the remote connectivity really is the game changer between the existing Qualistar range and where we're getting into now with the 8345.
And what sort of electrical systems can the Qualistar Class A be used on?
So very similar to when we talked about the existing Qualistar range. On the 8345, we've actually got the 4 current inputs, 5 voltage inputs on there. So generally we can use these on single phase installation, single phase equipment, 3-phase equipment, DC equipment. We've got a wide range of current sensors, and interestingly enough, our current sensors that work with the PELs are the same current sensors that work with the existing Qualistar, are the same current sensors that work with that. So we've actually kept that continuity through. So a lot of times people spend money buying additional accessories, additional clamps that they want to use, and maybe they're thinking of upgrading from an 8336 to an 8345. The great thing is they don't have to go and buy all of those current sensors and everything again. All of their current sensors will generally work directly with all of the products within the range, which is a great feature.
So what sort of buildings would the Qualistar Class A be used to monitor?
So generally, again, this is you're looking more your sort of high-end commercial, industrial type installations where we're looking at. So that could be schools, hospitals, it could be factories. A lot of these are used, you know, where there's production lines, production equipment. Data centers is becoming a big thing. So actually using these to monitor data centers and actually the supplies to, you know, computers, computer servers, all those sort of things. They can be used for that. But again, that doesn't preclude the fact that you could even use these to just monitor a small circuit in your own home. You know, they have got the ability to measure everything from even up to high voltage installations all the way down to just a simple single phase circuit. So there really isn't any installations that you couldn't measure with the CA8345 and the right sensors.
Very versatile. So considering all that, to whom would you recommend the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Class A Power Quality Analyzer?
So really the Class A is our top of the range power quality analyzer. So anybody who's serious about getting into power quality analyzing really should be taking a look now at the CA8345. Yeah. The main reason for that is that it future-proofs them over what they would get with a normal existing Qualistar product. So the 8345 really gives them the ability to say that their measurements are certified to Class A. Yeah. So that adds an extra sort of standard to their work. It actually gives them that extra string to their bow when they're bidding for contracts or doing work. Mm-hmm. And it actually gives them the extra flexibility of the remote connectivity, which is great really if you're running a business. You want to be able to connect it in and maybe check in on it remotely, or, you know, the extra, like we said, safety benefits of being able to remotely access a unit without having to go in and shut everything down first. So anybody who's looking at getting into power quality, really, and that's probably is electricians, electrical engineers, but it could even be like business owners and facility managers and people who are actually invested in having one of these sort of within their toolkit available to their staff. But yeah, certainly anybody who's thinking of getting into power quality really should have a look at the CA8345, because the benefits it brings over the more traditional products really are worth a look.
Yeah, so initially it seems like quite a big investment, but you'll make your money back through sort of energy savings, new streams of revenue.
Yeah, and I think just having the ability to say that you're Class A certified, so you've actually got the Class A certified measurements, the remote access, and also the ability to detect sort of a wider range of events and things like that with the CA8345, I think warrants anybody taking a look at this product.
Yeah.